And you get into this thing that I don't even know how to describe, but it's like there's a gap. That for the first couple years that you're making stuff, what you're making isn't so good, okay? It's not that great. It's really not that great. It's trying to be good. It has ambition to be good, but it's not quite that good. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, your taste is still killer. And your taste is good enough that you can tell that what you're making is kind of a disappointment to you. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell that it's still sort of crappy. A lot of people never get past that phase. A lot of people at that point, they quit.
It's now been a year since I started freelancing as a filmmaker and photographer. And over the past few months, I have learned a lot about how to run a business, but also how not to run a business. And I learned a lot about myself. And so I just wanted to share a few things that have helped me, and hopefully that will help other people in kind of in the same journey, or maybe they can relate to some things I say. I'm still figuring out myself. I'm not in a place where I can give advice, but in a way I'd like to think out loud, and in doing so maybe help myself, but also help other people and kind of see my thought process, and maybe as a community of creators kind of help each other out. To start with, number one for me was niches. So I've always heard people saying I should niche in what I do, and that you can't be good at everything. And to some extent, I kind of followed that. And from the start, I was trying to niche in, but I soon found out that I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do. And what worked for me was kind of trying it all. So I had some interest in sports. So that was my starting point. But then I explored promo videos in the product photography and videography, other kind of more fitness photo shoots, so more photography, and real estate, so very different genres as well, documentary style. And I think it did help understanding what I liked and what I did not like. I still am unsure of what I want to niche in, and I do go down the rabbit hole of thinking I like something, I like the thought of it, but then when actually doing it, I don't enjoy it. So it kind of gets in my brain, and I think, oh, is this not for me anyway? I do like doing different things, and the reason why sometimes I feel that creative block or not as motivated as other times is because I don't find joy in doing the same thing over and over, and I like having that kind of difference in style of shoe or different genre. So another thing that gets thrown around a lot when first starting this journey is kind of the fact of you need to work for free, and there's difference in how people view it. Some people say you should, some people say you shouldn't, and I think from what I've done, I think you should work for free because it's a great way to explore those things, but not in a way that you're sacrificing kind of like your skills because people are not willing to pay. And I think I did not explain that well, but what I mean is that if there's something that you're really passionate about and you want to get into, and obviously the barrier to get in is high, kind of you see the only way to get in is to do something for free, and that's kind of but then the end goal is to ultimately do that thing getting paid, as opposed to doing something just for the sake of doing something for free. Then I would rather do the former than the latter. These are the two most important things that I did as a freelance filmmaker and photographer to get jobs over time. The first thing was to contact people, organizations, to offer my services for free because I was starting out building a portfolio, and I think that's something that everyone who starts this journey eventually will do. And I think if done in the right way, it makes sense, and it doesn't feel like you're sacrificing too much because you'll get a lot of it in return. And most times it does. But for me, what worked well was another thing, which I would go out and in a scenario where no one asked me to do something, or I didn't ask anyone to do something, and I would go out and film something or take pictures of something, and then I would get traction from that. And it's a very big gamble in a way, because you can't predict what can happen, and like sometimes, most of the times maybe, you won't get anything from it. But as opposed to other methods that I tried, such as cold emailing or calling, that generated maybe a couple leads sometimes, but it did not work as well as doing something like that. So I'll give examples of these two things, so then it kind of makes sense. And I'll share a mind map of kind of a few examples of this journey and how these opportunities and connections then compounded over time. So firstly, for the organizations and the people that I contacted to offer my services for free, I did a few things like this, and the one I remember now is a run. It was a like 10K run from an organization. I was like, can I just shoot it for free, send you the pics, the videos? And I did that, and then I think a month or two after that, I got offered a job from the organization that was running a different event, and I got paid through it, and I did a few other jobs for them. So that worked out. And it was in the sports kind of realm where I wanted to kind of try and do something in. The other case, which I think is kind of like almost how it all started, was because I was based in Salford at the time, and I saw they were doing a Salford triathlon, and so I never did sports photography before, so I picked up a long lens, a camera, and then went out and just shot pictures of the event. I then got stopped by the organizer, who just asked me what I was doing, and I explained. I was like, I'm just taking pictures, I'll put them, for people to download for free. And they were like, yeah, great, do it. So I sent them over, got great feedback from them, and then I got contacted by one of the athletes from that run that was running a triathlon business, and I started doing content for him. So that was Tony that I met that day, and Karen from USwim. So it kind of then went further than that, to the point that Tony then introduced me to some of his friends. And so that kind of little moment for me where I just decided to go out there and shoot something for myself then became kind of this bigger thing that lasted, and is still, the effects are still going from it, of getting all that traction and then getting connected to other people. Another example is when I went to Belgium to shoot my first Hyrox race videos for people. So I actually booked the flights and everything without any like clients per se, and then I thought, okay, I'll just figure out as I go. And there is a lot of demand for Hyrox, so I ended up having quite a lot of people in, and one of them was Bono, who I shot videos for, and then months later get contacted by him because a friend of his is racing in this huge ultra marathon taking place in northern Italy, and I then end up being on the team to shoot his documentary, and then also potentially more jobs for him, and also Bono wanting to do more races in the future, and obviously asking me to shoot those. And these are examples of how these networks kind of worked. Fun fact, I handed out my business card quite a few times in terms of people that were interested in my services, but I think I never got a reply from anyone that I handed out a business card from. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, or people just check out my stuff and they don't like it. So it's also easy to see how this job can be very appealing to a lot of people that I talk to, and be like, find it interesting and cool because perhaps you travel a lot, or you film some interesting things. And I think for me it's always a matter of it always goes up and down, because sometimes I feel very motivated for what I do and I find joy in what I do, but then a lot of times it's like all jobs, it's very stressful, and it's stressful in a way that it's obviously being self-employed as opposed to being employed by someone. You obviously don't have that security, but it also you need to think about everything else as well, from taxes to so accounting and all that stuff. It's as if you never switch off because of it, and you can't fully relax and think about something else, because you got to do that. And like, as I said, those opportunities are not going to be presented by anyone, and so you really need to do that. And like, it's so many times it still happens where I'm just in a mood and it's hard to snap out of that mood to then get going to do that. Like, if you don't do it, then no one's gonna do it for you. I still need to figure out when I switch into that mode that I feel kind of creatively something's happening, and I do feel the difference, but I don't know what triggers it. So that was a bit of a recap of my first year freelancing as a photographer and filmmaker. But I mean, I did not really say everything I did, just gave a few examples of what worked for me. And the start of this next year is very exciting, but also very stressful. And I'm curious to see how it will evolve after that. And hopefully share what happens and how I can kind of grow and be a bit better.